Yes, hello everyone. Today we are recording a podcast with Igor Gurenyov from Helsinki, Finland. He is a product evangelist for the company HypeHype. Today we will talk about this platform. Thanks for coming, Igor.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Well, we haven't actually come up with a topic for the podcast yet. I think we will be discussing HypeHype as a platform in general. So it's a pretty interesting platform. Let's talk about it. Let's move on to the first question.
Probably the easiest question. Tell us about yourself. Happy to do that. My name is Igor. I'm originally from Minsk, Belarus. I haven't lived there for a long time. I have changed several countries and lived in Tbilisi, Georgia, and Warsaw, Poland before. Now I'm in Helsinki, Finland. Basically, that's where HypeHype based. I began working in game development professionally 7 to 8 years ago. Initially, I was a game designer. I worked at the dawn of hyper casual games. Back then, we used to call those projects ultra casual games. My first job was at a company called Legendary. There, if anyone knows, were projects like Bowmasters and Flip the Gun. Party Masters, that's where I started. I was involved in creating characters, weapon settings, events, balance, all of that. Then I got involved in marketing within Legendary for a bit and spent a long time making playables, ads, creatives. I also managed to work with user acquisition and purchase traffic myself. Then I realized that products were closer to me and returned to hyper-casual games. Worked a bit with Say Games in one of the studios. There was the project The Staff, a mini market, if that means something to someone. That's where I got involved a bit. After that, I worked at Homa Games, where I was more of a producer, leading a small team. We spent a long time on prototyping there. Of the notable releases, there was Kaiju Run, Symbiote Rush, and I think Parasite Cleaner. Yes, from what I remember, mostly there are 100 to 150 million downloads combined on both platforms for these games. Then inside Homa Games, I joined the live ops team and focused on meta features and live services in released products, Investment Run, Ground Digger. Also, if that rings a bell for anyone. After Homa, I went to work at Supersonic, specifically in the publishing team, to help external studios. And Supersonic was a part of Iron Source. Iron Source and Unity decided to merge, and as a result, I ended up working at Unity. There, I was handling publishing, sharing best practices, and leading external developers to release successful games. Well, and after that, somehow life led me to Finland, to HypeHype. And here we are. HypeHype is a startup, and my position, yes, product evangelist. Everyone actually asks what I'm actually doing. Yes. It's a combination of community work, data analytics, product management, and business development. I travel to conferences and communicate with many people. So basically, since it's a startup, everyone does everything. If something urgent comes up, everyone gets involved. So, well, I probably work more with platform developers and engineers and our community, mainly with external creators. And actually, my task is to grow HypeHype so that when someone starts making games along with Unity, Unreal, Roblox, Fortnite, there is also an association with HypeHype. That's it. Who I am, what I do, what I did.
I see. Thanks for the introduction. Listen, about HypeHype, I learned about it approximately, well, probably 2 years ago. The first, probably, where I learned about it was the news that apparently Supercell invested money in you. Later, I found out about it on the Game Dev Bomb GG channel when he talked about making small prototypes of hyper casual games in HypeHype. So there's a simple engine and so on. It's easy for a game designer to put something together there. Then recently, when Timur Taipov shared with everyone again about HypeHype, and I have a question from that. What is HypeHype anyway? Maybe you could tell more about it.
Of course, how do I usually pitch it in private circles? It's the next big thing in gaming. And then people are like, wait, what? That's how I grab attention and start to explain. Well, it's a gaming platform, first and foremost. It's basically a TikTok for games. Just like in TikTok, you scroll through short videos. In HypeHype, you scroll through games. You are scrolling not just gameplay recordings, but real interactive games that you can enter and immediately start playing. Basically, this is the game component of the platform. That's the first aspect. The second is the engine itself. The key aspect is that all the games you see in HypeHype are made within the platform itself. The closest reference to us is Roblox and Fortnite, or they also have their own development environment. And in this development environment, well, usually through another application, but in the same system, you find these games. Also in HypeHype, it's the same, but it's one application. Like you play, find, and make games all in one.
Listen, you said you have a scrollable feed like in TikTok, but I heard that you're moving away from that, or was it fake news? Am I wrong?
Well, let me explain why the TikTok feed was chosen. We are currently working a lot with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and essentially perfecting our algorithm. The main idea is that anyone entering HypeHype, after a couple of swipes, will come across a game they would most likely play and play for a long time. That is why the TikTok-like feed is probably one of the main pillars of HypeHype. No, we are not really planning to abandon it. On the contrary, we are refining the algorithm. It's constantly launching various new tests and trying to improve it.
Well, I also remember that Igrotok. Have you heard about it? Yandex launched it too, but they didn't succeed. But you seem to be succeeding.
Well, we're not complaining for now. Everything looks very positive and promising. I also talked with the guys from Yandex about Igrotok just this summer in Istanbul at a conference. Well, I think that Igrotok is a really cool thing. It's a slightly different aspect. It's more about porting HTML5 games.
Yes, yes, yes. Our projects were also in Igrotok.
But as I understand it, it didn't work out very well for Yandex. Listen, who knows? Maybe they will come back. Well, yes, yes. Who knows?
Quite possible.
They might look at you and come back. Well, then it turns out this is such a global trend in the world to create such, how can you say, game aggregators? Yes, probably. Most likely, like Roblox, Fortnite too, it seems. They have this creative mode, and they also use this creative mode to make something like Counter-Strike back modes. Fortnite is not the last game in my life. I recently logged in, played one match, got eliminated right away. That was enough. I wanted to look at the modes. In general, there are a lot of modes there. It resembles Roblox's equivalents. Could you share something about this trend? What are your thoughts?
Gladly, yes. Actually, this trend has a very simple, concise, and clear name. It's called UGC, or user generated content. So, content generated by users. This started, it's hard to say, of course, when, but I would say it started gaining attention 2 to 3 years ago. This is not only in game development, but in the world in general. It is also closely related to the no code aspect. That is, in theory, life changing. First, a lot of AI tools have emerged that simplify code writing, simplify creating something, and the cost of producing code is becoming cheaper. Anyone can now make games, and competition is increasing. But let's not go in that direction. I'll just talk about UGC in games. UGC in games is a very old aspect. Everything probably started like Roblox in 2006. Its first version came out. That's probably when the niche itself started actively developing. But it all began with mods for games. So mods for games are the grandfathers of today's UGC. So if we are talking about the 90s Doom, Quake, Counter-Strike, Half-Life, all of this was born from mods. The first UGC started back then. Developers released games with open source code. So anyone could dive into them, edit however they wanted, basically fork them, create their own version, refine, replace models, add some new game rules. And that's how a lot of really cool games appeared. Counter-Strike, Dota, Team Fortress, League of Legends. All of this was born from mods. And why did I specifically mention the year 2006? the release of Roblox and the release of some other game, the famous and well-known Gary's Mod, a game made in Source Engine. And this was, in fact, probably the first scaled UGC platform where many users started to create their own game modes. That is, the community directly took this game into space. That is basically it. Even right now, you can go and find their mods for Star Wars, for Fallout 2, for Pokemons. Well, basically, any franchise you think of, it will be there without any licensing, violating all copyrights, with pirated models and so on. But all of this started from that moment and has been actively developing. And in fact, Valve also significantly contributed to this. They always had great modding tools available. Another boost to the UGC trend appeared, probably with the release of Team Fortress 2. Well, first, Valve innovated a lot overall in the monetization of games. There are loot boxes, customization, hats, skins. So Team Fortress, Counter-Strike, Dota, these are great examples of how to do it right. And the UGC aspect, well, there was Steam Workshop in Steam, and the opportunity arose to upload your own M4 model in Counter-Strike, your own version of a hat for Team Fortress there, your version of an Arcana for Dota. And so the community started actively making models, uploading them, and some even made it into the game. All of this is also user-generated content, a branch within itself, its own ecosystem, I would say. Then Roblox began to develop their platform actively. Well, probably Roblox is the largest user-generated content platform today. Last weekend, it broke all records for online activity. There were 14 to 15 million active daily players. Awesome results. They're focusing heavily on children and teenagers. The best target audience you can find to raise your early adopters for the years to come. That is very active people who have a lot of time, who really love to play and figure things out. And the platform is already here for 9 to 11 years. During this time, more than one generation of creators has grown up. Inside Roblox, a lot of people on Roblox created their cool games or tried to make something. They learned the basic aspects of game development and moved to Steam. If you know, the game Unturned, a sandbox about zombies, was made by a guy who spent a long time creating experiences on Roblox. Therefore, UGC in gaming overall is huge, and you can approach it from different angles. I think everyone who is somehow interested in games has somehow encountered it, possibly just not quite, are aware that this is UGC.
Maybe. Look, you were just talking about Roblox, that it's the coolest and so on at the moment. So, what is your difference then? Why choose HypeHype instead of making games in Roblox? They also pay, I think. I saw an interview there. Zhenya had an interview with one guy.
Yes, $50,000 I think he earned. Listen, good question. Well, probably the most. On Roblox, you are still limited to the PC development environment. That is, you can only make games on a computer. They have a client for Mac and Windows. And so you only use a mouse, a keyboard, and code in Lua to write scripts. You create game logic, make models in some external editors. It's a cool way to make games. It's just a great opportunity. And if someone likes it, it's worth using. It's also a great mechanism for gaining perspective to see what is popular. Very cool monetization. Many games earn well from it. But since the platform is already 9, 10, almost 11 years old, there is a lot of competition. Several generations of developers have already grown there. And just breaking through with something new is extremely hard. In any case, it will take a lot of time to play, get familiar with the genres, with the products in Roblox, and also with another editor engine, how everything works. Because the game creation logic there is still somewhat different from Unity or Unreal. In this regard, why are we better? Our goal, mission, is to bring game development to the masses, meaning anyone can record a TikTok, Reels on Instagram. We want anyone to be able to make a game as well, anywhere, anytime, in any situation. So that, in general, opportunities for creativity are brought to as many people as possible. And the main aspect of how we are trying to achieve this is a mobile application.
a mobile editor, and that is our main focus. The core of HypeHype is the mobile phone. Initially, we make all versions, all updates for the platform are released first with a huge focus on Android and iOS. The main focus is there. Of course, we have Windows, Mac, and a web version too. We are actively refining the web version until the end of the year and we'll release it. There will be a very cool update. We might even start competing with some web platforms. We'll see how it goes. But why us and not Roblox? We are more accessible. You can take a phone and immediately start making a game. You don't need to understand code or scripts. Our basic all logic is created using visual programming. So you take nodes like in Unreal and connect them. That's how logic is made, and probably the biggest killer feature. You don't have to do anything from scratch. We have a remix feature. This is truly a revolutionary feature of the future. It's the second pillar of HypeHype remixes. That is, anyone can take any game on HypeHype and with one button get access to the source codes and edit it however you want, make your own mod, completely rethink the game, do a reskin, just take a game with shooter mechanics, remix it and make your own Wolfenstein or Counter-Strike. Press the second button with one click and that's it. It's published under your account, add an icon description, and you have your own game. Well, on a basic level, these are probably the main reasons why we are better than Roblox for some people.
And here's the immediate question. Well, remixes, if someone originally sat down, worked hard, created, and then some Petya came along and with just one button press made a remix and uploaded it to their account, and this game became much more successful. Are there any ways you support authors who create original content?
You're asking a very valid question. We've received a lot of feedback like this. Many developers complained that what's the point of making a good game, spending tens, hundreds of hours, if someone comes, copies it in a second, and all the money, so to speak, goes to them. So we listen to the community's feedback. And literally this week, already today or tomorrow, an announcement will come out. We released a new system. We call it Remix Tree Bonus or remix family concept. No, how it actually works, if you remix a game today and start earning from it, we automatically start calculating a bonus for the original developer as an additional bonus for their contribution. And the more people start to remix your game, the more projects start generating this bonus for you. And in this way, if you created something great and it got remixed and those remixes started earning a lot, then you will receive a bonus from every project that earns. An important fact, that this percentage is not deducted from that game that was created. It generates additionally on top as a bonus.
So you are the ones paying, right?
Yes, it's also very important to understand an important aspect, that the one who remixes, if he remixes a good earning game and his game also starts earning, he will additionally receive a small bonus from the original. In this way, we motivate people to use remix feature, because this way the bonus will be received by both the original developers and the remixers. By remixing successful games, if you make them even better, in addition to your earnings, you will receive a bonus from the platform for taking a good game and making it even better. That's basically how the system works.
This week we are releasing an announcement. Everything will be detailed there with examples and diagrams.
Well, yes, it's like, it's fairer to give more to the original developer than to the remixer.
But that's how it is, meaning the bonus will come to both, but for the remixer, it will be a small bonus, but it's still there. So people also understand that doing remixes is prestigious too. Creating a good game from a remix, you will also receive some bonus from the platform in addition to your own monetization.
Here, you can really build a full-fledged business on remixes, actually.
In fact, some people are already doing this. You mentioned Timur Taipov today. Timur is really cool. We are very grateful to him. He helped us onboard a lot of people. He does very right things. He brings a more product-oriented approach to his projects. He deconstructs genres, deconstructs games on Roblox, analyzes inside the HypeHype. records everything in tables. During the time spent on the platform, many insights and understandings have emerged about how everything works, which genres are more promising, which are less so, on which days it is more profitable to release games, and on which days less. And most importantly, what sells, what doesn't, what has more chances for success, what has fewer chances for success.
And Timur, in fact, is now trying to build this kind of business where he will be a producer.
He wants to take more successful, in his opinion, remix, and iterate it in several variations with the teams, actively push the most successful one.
Based on the conversation, several questions arose. Listen, you mentioned working with teams. Do you have some sort of infrastructure to work with teams?
Yes, we have collab editing, meaning you can join a session at the same time, and one person, for instance, who is more knowledgeable in logic, connects nodes with each other, designing some features. At the same time, someone else can work on arranging the level, repainting the sky, the ground. It's kind of like a server. You connect to the server session and simultaneously do stuff with your teammates.
Interesting. And another question right away. You also mentioned that Timur Tepov takes a responsible approach. And for some reason, a question came to my mind. Do you experience seasonality? I mean, seasonality in monetization? That's a great question. Like on any platform, of course. Yes. Well, first, it's important to understand that we are currently in early access. We are only available in 3 countries.
These are Philippines, Canada, and Finland. At the beginning of 2025, we will likely open up more, 5 to 6 new countries, and there and in Eastern Europe, South America, and Asia, to increase the number of potential players and make life easier for developers, because it is currently very difficult to access the platform. We plan to simplify this and simplify the opportunities to promote their games externally, because for now, developers are limited by the audience we have, which comes to the platform on its own. But promoting games externally is very difficult because we are only available in 3 countries. Developers have to specifically target these countries. Therefore, with new countries, we are actually trying to make their life easier. Yes, seasonality. What we have noticed already this year is that in the summer, people play more and are more active because currently the audience in the existing markets is young. During summer vacations, holidays, weekends, in those countries where we are open, you can see that there is more people playing. It is visible from week to week. On weekends, people play more actively. The main spend on the platform is also on weekends. Well, on weekends, conditionally, on weekdays, it's mainly sessions from phones. On weekends, we see that tablets are connected, meaning people are already at home and can comfortably enjoy on a large screen. Or even with desktop clients, it's noticeable that usage increases on weekends.
Interesting, thank you. There's another question. Roblox is popular among children also because a lot of content is generated not only within Roblox itself, but also externally. Some bloggers and so on make videos about the modes, and it becomes very popular among people. Well, I think that's a well-known fact. Are you going to adhere to such a strategy? Because when I visited your YouTube channel, you have something similar, but there's not much activity there yet. So you are the ones creating this content yourself?
100%. This is one of the goals for the year 2025, precisely to work more with influencers, bloggers, content creators, and indeed the opening of new countries. One of the reasons we open them is to give people with an audience the opportunity to come to the platform and start creating content for that audience. So yes, definitely, we are already working with influencers actually, but they are still our influencers with a developer audience. For them, it's not so scary to apply and wait a couple of days to get access. But in 2025, we are planning to open more to the world and lower the entry barrier so that YouTubers and streamers from Twitch, for example, could come with their audience to play any game, create their own games specifically for themselves, or ask someone to help them make a game and have fun together with their audience inside HypeHype.
Here is the next question based on your words. There's Fortnite, a game everyone knows. I know for sure there was creator support. And is it still there now? Well, it seems like it is there. I mean, what does support for creators entail? Maybe I'll explain for those who might not know. Like, if you're a sort of video blogger or something, you sit and create content, a streamer on Twitch, you sit and stream Fortnite and put in your creator code. When a person purchases in-app items, and as I understand, your in-app monetization is much greater, meaning there's no ad monetization. You insert your code and receive a certain percentage from the platform itself. Have you thought about something like this, a similar support for creators, as in Fortnite? Maybe someone would be interested.
Of course. Since the goal is to grow very, very significantly and become a billion user platform, we are actively looking in that direction and are already developing a kind of referral program or bonus program where, yes, by bringing a user, first of all, by bringing a user to the platform, you can already receive a bonus. Right now, we are giving referral links to our influencers. And for now, in a very individual and non-automated way, we give bonuses to influencer in HypeHype currency for each user he brought. And also for now, we give bonuses to users who came from these influencers too. The same logic will apply to content creators. I was just thinking that by the beginning, say February or March of 2025, we might start testing the system. And it will already be possible to scale it later that year. The code of the link will be tracked automatically. A record about this appeared in our backend, and the one who brought them receives a bonus. The one who came receives a bonus. We are actively working on this system now.
I just remember when there was an author's code, I just had a VK Telegram channel a long time ago, or VK channel or whatever, a group a long time ago with Fortnite, yes. And this creator code always brought in good money. And there was quite a thing among the admins with contests being launched and so on, just to make people use the creator code.
This is a very good feature. It helps both developers and content creators, and overall
improves the ecosystem.
Another question, probably about monetization. We talked about the creator code and found out that on your platform there is only in-app monetization. Could you tell more about that? And the next question right away, will there be advertising and monetization? Have you thought about it?
A very good question. You're asking challenging ones. I like it. In fact, it's not only in-app monetization. We launched overall monetization for developers in April of this year. And initially, it was purely an engagement system where we paid developers only for playtime. The more people played your game, the longer first sessions you had, and the more minutes in this first session, the more money you could have earned. And this system accumulated, and the second and third sessions were also accumulated, and we only paid for gameplay time. Then we adjusted this system a bit and started paying more for later sessions. The main goal of the platform is to have games with high retention so that people return to the platform every day and to continue playing the game. We tried to motivate developers to create such games. It worked very well. And all the games that were made and started adapting to the associated system, they won significantly. We can take a look. I looked on Trial Zombie. It is now have first place in our top charts. This is conditionally gravity defined from button phones, brought into 3D on a touch interface in HypeHype. Probably one of the highest grossing game right now. The main revenue comes exactly from late sessions. And there are many, many examples like that. But in any case, maintaining a system with earners solely for gameplay time for a long period is not feasible. We are trying to diversify the system so that developers also start considering how they can earn from their games themselves. And in-app purchases is probably not the simplest, but the most understandable way to do so. You can see how this is done in mobile markets, in the App Store, in Google, in the same Roblox, in some free-to-play games, on PC, on consoles, and bring something of your own, figure out how to monetize the HypeHype audience. Already now, in fact, developers who have started implementing in-app purchases have felt their impact, and indeed, many developers whose income from in-app purchases has already exceeded their income from engagement payments. Timur Taipov really helped us out a lot with this. He created several templates for in-app purchases monetization, and every developer who tried this template started earning more. And now in-app purchases can already be done right now. They work. We even pay a little extra for them now. There is another bonus system currently in effect. When we cut back engagement payouts, the platform's focus right now is more on in-app purchases monetization. Because of this, payouts for playtime have become less. But we always try to balance. We always try to balance this system so that if we cut somewhere, we add somewhere else, ensuring that developers do not strongly feel negative consequences overall. It doesn't always work the way we would like, and sometimes some people don't manage to adapt in time, and there can be a gap where they start earning less at a certain point. But we actively try, both within the community and within the company, to either create some templates or release some training materials so that people catch up faster and move forward with us. And right now we are giving small bonuses for every in-app purchase. Any in-app purchases by first-time user, a new fresh user, comes to HypeHype, all their in-apps up to 100 to 200 HypeX will go at an increased rate. That is supposedly bought something for $1, received 1.5.
HypeX is a currency, right?
Yes, HypeX is our internal currency, which can be purchased within the app through the App Store, through Google Play.
So there's no need for any payment systems and so on, as everything is already inside the app. You just sit as a developer, develop the game. There's nothing you need to implement. Sit, create, and receive in-app purchases. The platform has thought of everything for you, right?
Actually, yes, this is probably another pillar of HypeHype that we rely on in general to remove any headaches related to the SDK updates of this SDK and any technical components, so that the developer can focus only on the interesting, only on the creative components, on figuring out how to make the game better, what in-app purchases to include that the player might find interesting that would actually be useful for the player.
In general, we are trying to simplify life for developers as much as we can. What about advertising monetization?
So you are not striving for it?
Well, yes. In any case, we understand that at some point we will likely come to this. But the main focus on the platform is, even if using advertising, to use it as non-intrusively as possible so that it doesn't annoy. Probably everyone is familiar with the example from hyper-casual games. When you launch a game and then immediately ads start to pop up. And then this interstitial appears every 20 seconds. This kills any engagement immediately. And even if a player liked the creative from which they came, few will stay for long. But we are still growing a platform with a long tail and want games with a long tail. And here we rely more on the Supercell model, making quality games that people want to play and return to, and to irritate players as little as possible.
Clash Royale, in my heart.
Very good game, very good example. Yes, they do many things right and worth looking into their games.
Ideally, we try to steer our developers in this direction, but it's also important to understand that clearly copying monetization from mobile phones won't get you far. The audience for Hype is different, yes. Listen, perhaps it's more suitable for you. Let me interrupt you. Sorry, please. Coca-Cola came and made a game that would fit perfectly into the feed.
That's how it's done in TikTok, I think. Like, it's a very good example because actually, yes, TikTok even states in their guidelines for advertisers to make ads, make TikToks. In other words, create content that is interesting to watch, and that will be your advertisement. Well, and a good example, yes, actually here we are thinking about commercialization in the long term, but we like the brand aspect more, collaboration with brands, brand collaborations, so that, for example, Coca-Cola could go to HypeHype, it's Christmas now, New Year, and create a game where a beautiful red truck, beautifully decorated, drives on a snowy road delivering Coca-Cola.
By the way, a good idea. Yes. Also, by the way, now it's Supercell, and I too. At the very beginning, when I talked about Fortnite, when they also there not support, they are scaling their creative mode. I recently saw news that Supercell apparently wants to do something similar in Clash Royale. It turns out want some kind of equivalent to HypeHype. Well, that's just what I saw. As for how that is, I don't know. What do you think about this?
Yes, good point. Maybe I will clarify a bit. Supercell is our main investor, and that's why we collaborate a lot with them, work together, and communicate a lot. And what they do is actually more of an approach, and it's hard to say where it will lead, as they are just starting to do it. The example you mentioned, Supercell had the game Clash Mini. And Supercell was known for launching a lot of games, but they didn't reach the performance level they needed, and they canceled many games. But Clash Mini had a dedicated audience. The game was liked by a very large number of people. It was so active that when the game was killed, they directly upset a lot of people. And at some point, Supercell decided to revive Clash Mini in one of their games. And the analogy I draw here, it's just about that. They are launching a system similar to what already exists in Fortnite. Well, not exactly, but basically, you will have a conditional modes browser, and there will be Clash Mini and some new mode and some other new mode, some other new mode, and within one game you can play different experiences, just like in Fortnite. In Fortnite, you can already play races, which are directly
Even in
made,
Lego GTA.
and in races. In all of them, yes. Lego GTA and first-person shooter. Recently, 5 versus 5 also came out. So yes, this is such a trend where everyone is making platforms now. And essentially, Fortnite is a platform, Roblox is a platform, we are a platform. This is a new trend in the industry.
Well, if we return to in-apps, I would also like to ask what exactly, well, as I understand it, you recently, yes, connected in-apps on the platform.
In-app purchases have actually been around for quite a while.
Is there any analytics on how much of your audience has spending power? I mean, obviously, at least some of them are children.
Good point. In our Telegram chat with developers, this topic comes up a lot as well. It's important to understand that in Roblox, it's also children, mostly. And in Roblox, in-app purchases work very well. And the topic we discussed in Telegram is related to the fact that people there often compare the audience of CIS countries, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, and come to the conclusion that, well, kids are not financially solvent, they don't have money, they can't save much from their allowance, but we still aim more at a Western audience and plan to earn primarily from a Western audience. The rest will follow. In any case, there is a solvent audience everywhere, but the thought I'm trying to convey is that most often in the West, children buy something. Either parents buy for them or they buy something with their own money. In general, they usually do not buy with their own money,
To be
but with their
continued.
parents. In many families, there is a budget for entertainment, and it includes some. Previously, it was a plush toy, for example, or some candies, and now it could be
Donation and HypeHype.
as an option. Yes. So the audience currently is children. We as a platform do not plan to be a children's platform indefinitely. Right now, if you've seen, yes, HypeHype looks very simple, visually, childlike, with that Fortnite Roblox vibe. But we are actively working on our rendering, and next year we are launching textures. What you see now is, well, textures in HypeHype are absent as an entity. It's all solid colors, materials, well, monochrome. Some guys even managed to fake textures with this system and create some realistic experiences, but it is very difficult and performance intensive. And so theoretically, a game could appear on HypeHype in terms of visuals, very close to Unreal Engine quite soon already. I have seen our internal developments, what our rendering engineers are doing. It's just mind-blowing. That is true. Real AAA quality might appear relatively soon in HypeHype, at least partially. And yes, the audience is children. According to analytics, Canadians, of course, pay more than Filipinos, well, 100%. But since we are just starting, we are just attracting developers to in-app purchases. We understand this too. And this is what I was talking about, where we are slightly adding. Firstly, there are bonuses for new users first. And we just started with monetization by default, giving each new user some amount of internal currency so that they could already start spending it somewhere. and this currency amount is small. Yes, exactly. It's a small amount, but starts, of course, for free. So the player doesn't even realize that it is currency that costs money. But if the developer creates a game where this user spends this currency, if we will credit them with real money at the real exchange rate, this is one of the features of our bonus system.
By the way, Yandex had this where they distributed their yans. If you entered the game daily, you got more and more yans, and you could spend them. Yandex was also conditioning their players to spend.
But this is a good practice in general.
It is a very cool mechanism. Now many people use it because it really works. We have a similar system with chests. That is, by playing games on HypeHype, you level up your account over a certain period of time, and every time you level up, you have the opportunity to open a chest. And in the chest, a loot box, so to speak, and there is a random reward in there. It might be a profile frame, some interesting character, or in-game currency that you can gift in any game. So yes, we train the audience in a similar way that there is currency, it can be spent and used to buy some things. This motivates developers to also experiment with in-app purchases and try to sell something in their games.
Think in this direction.
Listen, what is the overall audience profile? HypeHype. What might the average player look like? I think this is quite useful information.
Let's say, broadly
Yes.
speaking, it's children.
All that needs to be understood is children, those who played Minecraft, those who played Roblox. Well, we all started at some point. Definitely most of that audience. We played Minecraft, so just
Daily.
imagine that. This is the current audience. Like, it will not remain the same. The new countries that we are going to explore aim to bring in different types of players. But here, it's also important to understand that currently in HypeUp, there isn't the kind of game quality or development for adults, well payers who can spend $1,000 to play it. This, I think, is more of a chicken and egg problem. That is, until developers start making such games, we won't be able to find such an audience. Well, they will come, but there will be nothing for them to play. Our algorithm won't be able to learn from these users. And as a platform, we are all interested. So the serious games aimed at other audiences, no children, also appear. The various horrors, we probably had a Halloween jam where we motivated users to make horror games. Not exactly serious, but not too cartoonish. Nah? It's clear that the child audience also likes them. It's sort of a middle ground. Anyone can play in horror. Even a streamer can react amusingly to all sorts of scares during a stream and so on. But globally, these are children. I can't specify the exact age because it varies from country to country, from game to game.
School audience.
Listen, what mechanics generally catch on in the hype?
Well, so it's also kind of important knowing that the audience consists of children and what exactly hooks your mechanics have. Still, because from platform to platform, even, well, in my experience, what works on Yandex might not necessarily work on, say, crazy games. There are many factors that influence that. And here, what is good for Roblox might be bad for you. In theory, the same scheme should work here.
Yes, very good question. And you are very right. We also have our own rules, our own genres, our own niches. I highly recommend everyone to join Timur Tepov's Telegram channel because he has detailed his entire journey on HypeHype, where he started, how he learned, and what conclusions he drew. And he is starting to do some really cool analytics right now. Graphs charts with data by genre. He analyzes all our top charts and concludes what is more successful and what is less successful. But basically, I would say that sandboxes work very well.
Sandboxes everywhere. Working scheme.
Yes, since the audience is children, they really don't like such strict boundaries, strict guidelines, where you have to do only one thing. They like that there is some goal, but it's not necessary to strive for it. Right here and now, he can run to the side, gather some resources, run in another direction, find the Ring of Fortune and spin it, find some cool character and fight him. But when he gets bored, he'll continue with the main objective. And from something interesting we've already seen, we've tried different approaches. Developers who came to us tried different approaches. Some tried to directly port games from the phone. There were both successful cases and not so much. Probably one of the successful ones is Fat Hole. It's very similar to a home-style hole game.
Voodoo had Hole.io, but this variation is more like a game from Homa Games, where you have a limited amount of time, and you need to suck in certain kinds of objects, and the more you suck them in, the more the water will stop. And in this way, you progress through the game, unlocking new locations, new types of objects. This game was received very well, but there was an example when the guys were porting a sorting game. Those test tubes where you pour one into another. The game is made very well. It can easily compete if exported to any platform with games in this genre. But sorting has its own audience, which is still small on HypeHype. So that's why the game wasn't very successful. Guys, another interesting thing is games from Roblox perform surprisingly well. It's also important to understand that not every game from Roblox will succeed and become a hit. Right now in our charts, we have Blox Fruits. In general, it's sort of a copy, so to speak, of an RPG from Roblox. Feels pretty good. Recently, the multiplayer project Floor is Lava was released. It's directly a concept transferred from Roblox, and these projects also feel very good. There was something unsuccessful but very cool that is certainly worth mentioning. There is a project called Ninjutsu Kid, and it's just like roguelike platformer for Steam, I would say. The guys put a lot of effort into it. I can send gameplay footage later. You can insert it. Oh, it will be cool. The game doesn't look like a hype-driven game at all. That is, the art direction is very cool with the play of light, shadows, and visual style. Well, it's really a platformer that Steam users would play, but it's very hardcore. It was initially made in landscape orientation, which in the current hype is a death sentence for a game. Most games are accessible. They are best played in portrait, and most of the audience is used to playing in portrait. And that's what we are currently pushing developers towards, first and foremost, to think about portrait. Well, and the game had a lot of such mistakes. The game was well made, with a lot of hours put into it, but unfortunately it didn't take off. Together, we tried to engage with the developers of the original game about this concept, made several updates, adapted it for portrait, simplified it. Metrics improved, but in any case, the concept is still not the one that can make profit in the current hype. But the guys are not giving up. They've already made 2 to 3 games after this. They participated in our jams and also won some prizes. Therefore, it is important to understand that even if you don't succeed in finding a profitable project on the first try, there is always an opportunity. We as a platform are interested in developers coming and staying. We constantly organize various competitions and jams with specific themes. Right now, this week, the New Year's Play Together jam ended. In other words, it conditionally motivated developers to create cooperative multiplayer games, since we recently improved all the features related to this and received a fairly large number of really cool games. And this Friday, we will announce the winners. So overall, actually try transferring from different genres. The most important rule. If a developer is new, that just joined the platform, they should not start making a game from scratch at all. It is a mistake.
Remixes.
Yes, it's a mistake. Absolutely everyone who, in one way or another, went through me, they all tried to make a game from scratch. Their first experience is unsuccessful. As soon as they start making remixes, with a remix, it's much quicker to understand all the key features of the platform, all the cool features like replay, watching how your player plays, instant analytics, multiplayer out of the box. Simply, it's almost even when you remix something successful, you have a better chance that the player will come, stay, and you can at least watch how they play. You can go in and chat with them live through chat or voice. That's why I would recommend coming to the platform, trying to remix something. When you roughly get acquainted with the editor, the logic, the engine, start looking at other platforms, at the top hyper casuals, at the top mid-court and hybrid casual tops. Go to Fortnite, to Roblox, go to web platforms. Develop an understanding of different platforms and try to design better from there. So theoretically, it could attract a HypeHype audience. It's going to take some time anyway. Here, I'll once again promote Timo Tapov's channel because he really, he has been on the platform since August and he has detailed his entire journey, including all the mistakes you can make. they are probably already described there with good examples, with videos, with GIFs, with data, with money. So Busher, we should start a stream with Timur or invite him. He is really cool and he has a lot of experience. He was involved with games at Amazon before. He had his own publishing company. He has been in the industry for for a very, very long time and has really built up his understanding of how everything works over a long period of time.
Listen, here's another question. Also sticking to game development. Here's an example. I have TikTok downloaded on my phone and HypeHype as well. So, as I understand, you're competing for user attention. So, as a developer, what should I do to engage the player? On HypeHype, so he doesn't turn away and go watch TikTok. Because with TikTok, you have to grab attention in the first few seconds. Then how would TikTok be watched? But what exactly should be done with games on your platform to engage the player?
The rules are actually similar here. The main thing is to hook the player's attention in any way. And methods can vary from game to game. If it's a horror, you can immediately show an unusual screamer that will evoke some reaction. It won't just be some random animation or random main menu. It will be something captivating, evoking emotions. This might make the players press the play button and say, what is this? I also want to see what it is. It could be some mayhem, confusion. And this often happens in sandbox games. We have a game called Domino's Friends. You press a button and dominoes start spawning behind you. The more you play, the more you level up and your dominoes get bigger, wider. You can change the skin of the dominoes to something else. And here, it's a game where they gather there at least 10 to 15 people. There's such chaos, such a mess. I mean, dominoes pile up on dominoes. Some funny characters appear, and there's this kind of mess, confusion. The audience likes it. There's some action, some movement, some chaos, and they click on it. That is, in fact, with the mobile market or with web portals trying the CTR, experimenting with such clickable concepts, trying to capture the player's attention first and foremost. Well, a lot, and also the visual style. That is, again, you can take a completely different approach, create a very beautiful, high-quality game that would stand out from everything else on the platform. So when you just swipe the feed, Ninjutsu Kid, for example, we've never seen anything well-made like this before. The game has a very good conversion in the feed. So people find it, stop, look at something like that, press play, but they get lost inside the game because it's very difficult, unclear how to figure it out. Using familiar, popular characters, yes, that helps too. That's the suggestions I can give.
Listen, you mentioned CTR. Well, as I understand it, you scroll through the feed in HypeHype, just like in TikTok. So you need to grab attention with the video, right? Not with the icon or cover. Icons and covers, as I understand it, are not there. Based on my experience, like in Google Play, it's usually the icon and screenshots that matter. On web platforms, it's the cover plus the icon. So, do you have a IT?
Look, right now, developers don't have the ability to upload gameplay or trailers. What you see in the feed is automatically taken by our algorithm based on replay. If you to go to the statistics screen, I might also later send you a footage. In general, each game has a statistics tab, and there on the first page at the bottom, there's a clips tab, and there are about 100 real player sessions. It's not in video format. It's more like, demos in Counter-Strike, in Half-Life. Inputs are recorded, coordinates are recorded, and then it's played back on the engine showing what the player did. You see which buttons they pressed, what they did, where they ran, how they slowed down with the game. And based on this data, a replay is built. And if there's also an algorithm with a lot of ifs, elses, and so on. Basically, it selects the most engaging replays, constantly testing within itself which ones are better or worse, and shows them to the player. Next year, then we plan to give developers more control over this mechanism so they can experiment themselves. But the main goal is to have as many engaging aspects as possible in the game, like explosions and cosmic situations. Yes. But you also mentioned covers, icons, descriptions. That's important too. In the feed, yes, a player will decide based on gameplay, on the generated recording, but we also have top charts. There's also an opportunity to share links there on any social networks and so on. And that's where covers, icons, tags, and the description set by the developer are used. That's why it's very important to pay attention to this too. And basically, by default, at the beginning, you can, of course, use some placeholders, but still, it's important to understand that a beautiful cover will help in any case. And you can even see how much it helps. We have a tab.
This is conditional marketability, and there is conversion by feed and conversion by cover.
And you can already look inside the application to see how well a particular cover converts. You can even launch A/B tests. That is, there's an A/B test feature in HypeHype.
I
And
love
you can
it.
simply create two versions. Yes, and you can simply create two versions of the application, one version with one cover, the other with another. And that's essentially an A/B test like you have been able to do in Google Play for a long time.
We try in general to take the best from all platforms and create this in HypeHype.
Yes, yes, yes. Listen, you mentioned replay. Isn't it similar to how it's done on Poke? If I'm not mistaken, they also have it, though I don't remember what it's called on Poke.
But a player plays, and then 10 to 20 players play, and they send you to look at how the player interacts with your game and how you fixed it before release. Is this also implemented with you, right? To roughly understand. After all, my audience is mostly web.
It's a similar system to Poke. There, it's all, as far as I understand, done a bit more simply. It's recording the screen, not creating gameplay. But there's also, perhaps for a wider audience, a service like Playtest Cloud. You can upload there any game, any build, place a link to Steam, Google Play Anywhere, and just hire real testers. Even choose a cast for the audience. For example, I need a woman, 40 years old from the USA, and this service will select it for you. And she'll play your game. You will receive a screen recording and audio from her microphone of what she said. And it's important to understand that the entire audience there consists of people who know they are playing and testing games. They are also trained to articulate certain things. Any thoughts that come to mind, they immediately express them. Well, actually, this is very similar to that. Only free. In Playtest Cloud, you pay for it, and you pay a lot. In Poke, as I understand, it is free, basically for everyone, because there are a small number of users, and there is their own approval process. Not every game on Poke can be released, but therefore not all developers have general access to this functionality. But for us, it's available out of the box to anyone. Just spend a second editing. You can even log in any hour and make a simple remix with one click.
Release the game. You will see the first player who comes to you there in just 5 minutes.
Cool, cool. Listen, why did you decide to make your own engine? Let's get back to the engine. More precisely, let's start the topic probably about the engine. Because while we were talking a bit, you teased me about the engine.
It's probably worth understanding a little about what HypeHype is, the company, who these people are, how it all started. In general, we are developers, if anyone knows of the game Badlands on Steam. There's this indie game called Badlands. It all started from there in the 2010s, roughly. And from the very beginning, the team placed a strong emphasis on level editors, on various editors within the game overall. Also, we develop functionality, and in all our games, it has been possible to create your own levels and some custom content. At some point, we made Badland 1, Badland 2, Badland Brawl, and it became clear that you can't earn much money on indie games. We needed to transform somehow. At that time, free-to-play was the talk of the town. Supercell was growing very actively. And being a Finnish company, Supercell was Finnish. So the guys talked with Supercell and raised investments. They raised investments for free-to-play backend-based games. So essentially, Rumble Hockey, Rumble Stars, these are also games on our account. You can still check them out and play. These are games made in the Supercell formula.
With IAP monetization, without ads, session-based.
And then we received the first investments from Supercell to create such products. But then we also concluded that, we're living from game to game, and you constantly make a game, release it, and it's unclear whether it will catch on or not. In general, there's no long-term future in this business. And probably somewhere in 2020, at the peak of COVID, at the height of the hyper-casual boom, an idea came up. What if we create hyper-casual TikTok? hypothetically. That's how the idea sounded back then. And at first, we're like, yeah, cool. But it was as if, well, few people believed in it. And then Johannes sat down, really got excited, talked to some guys, to others, came over, showed it to Supercell, and also, well, everyone understood, saw the prospects, saw the point in it, figured it out, added 2 plus 2, saw how the market is growing, and we're like, yes, why not? The team, well, has experience with engines, with designing some of their own systems from scratch, has experience in mobile gaming and PC, and working with the community. That's a huge moment, a giant that just kept expanding and expanding. And a completely absent, as a fact, TikTok for games, and actually also the growth of TikTok at that moment. So everyone saw that TikTok was really something new. People spend hours there. Well, that's probably how the idea came about. Yes, let's make a TikTok for games.
Understood. I wanted to learn more about the engine, but okay. How easy is it in general to adapt to your engine? That is, for example, I develop projects on Unity, like I've been developing all my life, and now I want to try.
To come to you and use your engine. How much time will I need? I think you definitely have some research on this topic. How long will it take me to adapt to your engine? Well, there's visual programming, obviously.
Well, how much time will it take me?
I'll say right away, it's very individual because probably for someone who has been on Unity for 15 years and wants to code, it might be difficult. But for some beginner developers, some school kids, students, or game designers, level designers, artists, to those who have already worked in Substance or in Blueprint in one way or another, and even to programmers who are more open to the idea of visual programming, well, not very. It shouldn't take a long time. I think that within a week, it's definitely possible to get a basic understanding and know how the systems work, starting from scratch. That's not a problem either, because as soon as you enter the application, there is a learning tab, because and right there, interactive tutorials are divided by section. I will probably send you footage too. You enter, and step by step, the tutorial guides you. Click here, select this property, change this skin, change this parameter, move this part of the level here. And so step by step, you 40 to 50 interactive lessons. You learn each aspect, from navigating the engine to working with graphics, to importing assets, and to creating logic and releasing your own game. Therefore, Shawan, I would say that a week is probably the time to get accustomed. But again, by coming to the platform and pressing the remix button, it's working, and you'll get the first minutes. In a few hours, you'll be able to understand and, like in any mod, grasp the main character's model and redo the level. It depends on what you specifically want to do. If it's some RPG with a complicated boss killing mechanic, grinding, a huge number of level parameters, well, you'll have to work on it. Or find a game with a boss mechanic, another game with a leveling up mechanic, and a third game with yet another mechanic. Exploit to supply and get your own Frankenstein. This is also possible. And if someone manages to, why not?
Well, listen, as if starting by taking the training first and then moving on to remixes, it seems like a better way than jumping right into remixes. Yes, yes. So, I actually have 2 more questions, just sort of concluding ones. I'll probably ask a question more about the company. What are your further goals for the near future, the year 2025?
As already mentioned, to open new countries to grow the user base, just such start working even more actively with developers there, producing more educational materials, engage more with the community overall, because this year we were more focused on the engine and adding functionality. Man, most systems are now ready, functioning stably, and will actively engage with the community. As an evangelist, so I travel to conferences, communicate online, and help creators, and we'll be doing more of that, inviting people from the community to our streams, launching some projects with them. Our main goal now is to get good games that will drive the platform itself, and we will do everything we can to help developers, the voice with us, and then independently to make such games.
Thank you. And the last question. Top 5 reasons to make games on HypeHype.
Remixes, replays, clips, open analytics, and no competition, I would say. A live community, meaning users who respond to you and with whom you can communicate. Money, probably also the speed of earning money, because getting to monetization, making a profit, probably right now it's faster than on any other platform, in the sense that it's kind of similar to a conditional model, very remotely, of course, but you can compare it to Uber. When you take a ride with Uber and you get the money right after the trip, like bam,
I can earn from this. I can repeat this action over and over again and earn more. And yes, maybe it doesn't lead to earnings so quickly. It could take around 3, 4, 5 days, but still release something. You can see in detail how it works, how the user interacts with it. Even if you don't earn, you'll understand where we have a bottleneck as a look, and how to improve it, start a new operation, and basically see and understand how to make money. Therefore, there's a huge scope for creativity, for earning, for creating games, and for finding people for your team.
Therefore, it is such a huge system that I would say the reason for Savely is very much. But if you need to know 5, it is a mix of replays, analytics, and what I mentioned.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for coming to the podcast. I think for the guys
who watched it will like it, will form their own impression of this platform. Again, thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me in the first place. I recommend everyone who is interested in the platform to join our Telegram and Discord.
A very active community is there, where people help each other, explain even how mechanics work. We support and motivate the participants, collaborate with each other. Also, I think this podcast was helpful for people who are skeptical. We clarified some things and shared more insights about HypeHype in general. So people who didn't understand what HypeHype is might look into it and try to create a game there. I think we tried to clarify everything that people asked us along the way.
Yes.
In general, we await everyone. Come
Thanks,
join us.
everyone. Bye all. Thank you for inviting me. See you all. We're waiting for you.